Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 593 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our sixth book just came out. It's called I'm So Beautiful, It's Ridiculous. Unleashing and promoting strength, self-worth, and real sisterhood. So go and pick up that book on Amazon or Barnes& and Noble today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, travel is absolutely one of my favorite things to do. High on my list is Israel because of the history, but I'm also a sucker for the beautiful beaches of Bermuda as well. Those pink sand beaches, you can't find that anywhere else in the world. My hope is that you will also catch the travel bug and visit as many different countries and states as you possibly can. Our next guests know a thing or two about travel, and I am so excited for them to share their travel tips with our college students today. Dr. Evelyn Kelly and her daughter Natalie Kelly have explored 7 continents, 88 countries, and 50 states. They share their most memorable moments in a book that's called Have a Love Affair with Travel, a collection of 79 short stories and travel tips that entertain, inform, and revel the transformative powers of travel. Dr. Evelyn is the author of 22 books, and Natalie is a CEO and communications expert. Welcome to the show, Dr. Evelyn and Natalie.
Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. It is just a joy to have both of you on the show. I remember when I first met you guys, and I said, we absolutely have to create some space for this conversation and this dynamic duo. And so tell me, what inspired the two of you to write this book? It's called Have a Love Affair with Travel. How did you decide you were going to write this as a mother-daughter team?
Well, what we did, we've been traveling for the last 3 decades together. And so we get a lot of questions like, oh my gosh, you travel with your mother? How can you travel with your mother? Or, you've been to all these countries, which is your favorite or which is your least favorite? And so we started speaking around the States, and people would come up to us and say, why don't you write a book? And then when we started talking about that, people would say, well, I've got a great story. We'd love for to be in that book. And so we actually started collecting stories. 8 of the 79 stories that we have in this book are from other people.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
That is really cool. I like that idea. Who knew? And between the two of you, you've explored 88 countries, 50 states, all 7 continents. Tell me, what has travel taught you about yourselves and also the relationship between you?
Oh, it has just taught us an amazing amount of things that we are kind of a live and let live people. And we have found that she has things that she likes to do. I have things that I like to do, but we compromise. There's some things that we like to do together. So this is how we have worked at this travel for these many years together. And writing the book was even more interesting.
I want to give a great example of how we work together. And one of the tips I would offer is make sure when you travel with somebody, make sure you actually get along with them, you
Mm.
actually like them, and you guys share the same interest enough that you will want to travel together. But a great example is this. When we were in Prague, my mother wanted to go see an opera. Well, I am not the biggest fan of operas.
Nabucco.
Oh,
And
very nice.
so I went and got extremely bored, walked out, and sure enough, when I walked out on the balcony, there were the husbands of the other wives that were in our group together. They were all standing out there talking college football. So that is one of my favorite subjects. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time at the opera talking college football, while she actually did enjoy the opera.
So that's the way we work it
Yeah.
out.
That's a lot of fun. Well, listen, the college students who are listening right now, I do want them to travel. The issue is that they don't have a lot of extra money lying around. So, what are your top tips for college students who want to explore the world, but they're on a budget?
This is what we were thinking. Natalie has, and we address this too in our book as well as tips, but she has an assistant who his a friend, as soon as he was in the last year of college, said, "Hey, we want you to go over to Europe, but we don't have the money, but we will pay for you and a friend to go. But you've got to do everything else."
So what he did is he stayed with locals. So that's one tip. And there's platforms that you can go and find out where, like which country and which locals are allowing tourists, especially from visitors from United States, to come over. There's also other types of things like teaching English. I've had several friends that go to different countries to actually teach English, and then on the weekends they travel on the train and go everywhere. So that's another option. And then, of course, there's some other types of apps that allow you to go with other with people that to share those dollars. Of course, everybody knows about hostels. If you want to go stay there, those are options. Traveling on trains, that's an option. So there's all sorts of different opportunities to travel really on a tight budget.
That's
This friend
wonderful.
of Natalie's tells about hostels, and all hostels are not
No,
created equal.
no, they're not.
Mm.
In other words, there's some that's really good and some that's not so hot. But what he found was he made friends in those hostels. And many of these friends were maybe local. For example, he had a girl from Germany that they met, and she invited them to come and stay in a cottage that they
That their
had
parents
at their
that they
parents' house.
stay at, their
Yeah.
parents.
Mhm.
And those types of things, they're just little things, but they're nice things to remember when you are traveling.
Very good suggestions. I
Make
like
friends,
that.
make friends. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you also mentioned something called 10 actions to leave at home.
Oh,
So,
yes.
what are some things that young travelers need to let go of before they embark on this global journey?
Well, let me explain. This jewelry, expensive jewelry, this is
Mhm.
what you do not bring. This is what you keep at home because then you are a target and you do not want to be a target. Another thing that makes you a target, if you want to, I mean, everybody loves their college, their university, and they want to bring their sweatshirt or their t-shirt. Don't. Don't go over there advertising that, you're an American. You don't need to be doing that. Because what you don't want to be is you don't want to be a target. I would say another thing would be is leave the attitude. And the reason why I say that is because when you go over, you don't have air conditioning, or your bed might be hard, or this is not like the United States. No, it is not like the United States. And you're not going there to be in the United States. You're going to a different country. And so my thing is leave that at home, because if you're going there, you don't expect to be the same way. You're not going to have those type of things. Other types of things would maybe be luggage, travel light. Do not pack everything in there, and the kitchen sink. Now, a lot of college students are a lot better at that than older individuals, but that is definitely a must.
One thing that we might say is that you don't go complaining about, hey, we didn't do this or we need this in the United States. And one of our biggest complaints that we had were the toilets. So your students may find that this is a shock, really, when you go into a WC.
Or maybe a hole in the ground.
Oof.
Yes, they have them. Or this is even better, where especially for females, they have these very low toilets in the Southeast Asia area. Very low toilets with grooves on top of them, and the intent is for you to step on it and squat. So they squat. So just you have to be aware of that. You have to understand that, and you know what? Just accept it. Just accept it and go along with it and enjoy this new experience that you don't have in the United States.
And you can go back home and enjoy your own toilets.
It kind of brings up something else that I was thinking of, which is really cultural etiquette. There's a lot of different cultures out there. There's a lot of different customs out there. Talk to our audience a little bit more about that when it comes to cultural etiquette.
Yes, one big thing. Remember that you are not under U.S. laws. When you go to another country, you are under their laws. And some of the laws may sound really silly or stupid, but that doesn't matter. And if you get in trouble, just your ignorance of the law is not an excuse. They will keep you there, and you expect help from your U.S. Embassy? No, because they will not help you. All they would do is call home and tell them to get a lawyer for you. But this is one of the things that we really see is people expect to go and just behave like they might in the U.S. That is not true. For example, let's say you were to go to Singapore. Mm, and you decide that you want to have a good stick of gum. So you pop it in your mouth and you start chewing. You will be arrested.
That is a crime in
That is
Singapore.
Wow.
in
Hmm.
Singapore. And you will be put in jail.
Hmm.
You have no First Amendment rights at
Right.
all. What you will do is try to get in touch with the embassy, and they would call home and say, "Hey, look, your kid's in jail.
Mhm.
What are you going to do about him?" And they usually want money to get him out. Yeah.
Another thing I want to say is about etiquette is really understanding the culture. You know, for example, in India, I had some ladies come up to me and just want to touch my hair or smell my skin. They don't really see a lot of lighter skin, light eyes, light hair in India, and so they just wanted to touch it. They just wanted to feel it. They just wanted to smell me. And, I kind of looked at him like, okay, the person that was guiding us through India said, "Oh, don't be alarmed. They're just interested in you. They don't see people like you with the light hair, the light eyes, the light skin. And so therefore they're just very interested, but they will come up and touch you. So what you have to understand is you don't go and hit them back or, you have to kind of go with the flow and but understand the culture. Now the guys don't do
Yeah, the
that.
guys
They're
don't. Yeah,
standoffish.
right.
They won't do that.
Mhm.
But the females will. They'll come up to another female and say, "Oh, if they're actually very, very, I was going to say slightly different, but I'm really different."
And would you
Wow.
like to know about Saudi Arabia?
Ooh.
Yeah, what happens there?
What happens there? Okay, when you go in there, generally they try to grab most people that are not in Saudi Arabia and tell them they really do have strict rules,
They do.
especially for females. For example, you are expected to be covered from head to toe.
Hmm.
You have no religious symbols whatsoever that you have. You cannot even mention anything about pigs because you can't even have a book that says anything about pigs. So you have to leave your Three Little Pigs book home. So, so those are types of things. You do not sit with your legs crossed or your ankles crossed. And an absolute no-no is showing them the bottom of your feet.
Yeah.
That is the most disgusting thing in the world.
So the moral of the story is you really need to understand the culture actually before you go, because the last thing you want to do is get in any type of trouble.
Yeah.
So, and nowadays it's easy. It's easy to go in and Google and find out, the do's and don'ts of a country.
Yeah. Natalie, you're a CEO, you're a communications expert. Obviously gathered a lot of information throughout your travels. I'm wondering how this global travel has impacted you in terms of your career and even your leadership style.
Definitely. It has made such a difference. One of the big things is you never want to assume anything. And that's a part of leadership skills. You never assume anything. At a certain level, what you do is you ask questions, you engage people. In order to get to your goal or whatever product you're wanting as a CEO, you engage people. Well, that's the exact same thing when you're traveling in foreign countries. You can never assume anything. You really need to understand it, do your research, but also when you're over there, one of the things that we do is we ask locals. We'll ask locals, where are the best things to do or what you can't do, that type of thing. Because what we do is we communicate with them and we get to understand them. Other things that I think are really critical is to be flexible. Flexibility is a strength, not a weakness. So that's extremely important when you're traveling. Things are going to happen to you. No matter what, you're going to have a plane delay. You're going to have, something that's going to happen. You may lose something. What we try to do is help you prevent from losing anything. But things are like that are going to happen. And what you have to do is think about if it's out of your control, you can't do anything about it. Don't stress over it. But if it is in your control, then that's a different story. Then you'll be able to apply whatever you need to do to handle that.
You were interested and mentioned Israel,
Yeah.
and Natalie has the prime illustration of going to Israel. This was a trip that was the best of trips and the worst of trips because everything happened. So, Nat, you want to talk
Yeah,
about that?
in Israel, it is the most incredible trip. If you can go there, please go. Go there. Just understand though, when you hear things or there could be things happening, just be aware of what's going on around you. What happened to us is as we were flying into Amman, we actually went into Jordan,
Mm.
and as we were flying into Amman, our the wheels would not drop. We
Oh
didn't know at
no.
the time. And we were getting ready to do a belly land on the plane. And of course, at that time, we didn't know it until we started taxiing by the foam trucks, ambulances, police, all of those. And then we realized, okay, something was going on. And that's when we found out. But also, what happened is when we were in northern Israel, we heard construction, but it wasn't construction. It was actually, they were throwing over some bombs at that time.
Mm.
And so, but what I learned in Israel and with the guy that was our lead, our guide, he told me, Natalie, it's okay. Don't worry. It's okay. Don't worry. You can't worry about the things you can't control. Okay. And the things you can control, that's a different situation. And so when on the flight back, we missed our flight because of a late flight of the plane.
Mm.
Normally, I would have just been going off. I would have been upset. That would have run my entire trip. Not anymore. And it taught me, and even in my job as a leader, as a CEO, don't stress over things that you cannot control. Be calm, go for your target. That's what you need to do. And that's what one of the things that travel has taught me.
Mm. That's a great lesson. Really good stuff. Dr. Evelyn, you've written 22 books, so obviously you see a link between storytelling and travel. So, how can students capture and share all of their own stories meaningfully?
Well, let me tell you this. My 22 books that I have written are in the field of health and medicine, and they are not the world's most exciting ones. They are on genetics and genetic engineering, obesity, and these types of things. I do try to use a story with each chapter, but that is beside the point. The way that we do this when we go on a trip is this. I have a book and I love to write things down. Natalie has a camera, not a
Well, not a
camera,
camera anymore. It's your iPhone.
cell phone, and she takes pictures. So we make a good combination of having things that we can look at and say, hey, look, you remember. And you know what? I would like to say for your students that are listening, sometimes the things that happen then are when you get home become the most memorable.
Yes.
In other words, you may not think of it much then, but when you get home, you say, hey, that happened to us. For example, we were at the Eiffel Tower. And it has wonderful, how tall it is. It's so many feet tall and it's made of this, that, and the other. So we were so excited about going up to the top. Well, guess what? A storm came up and lightning was around us, thunder was around us, water was under us. And here we were under this steel tower. And we looked at each other and
This is
said,
the end of life.
we've had a good life, but we will be probably electrocuted
Yes.
in this. And then as fast as it came, it disappeared. So we went back out and had our picture made. Here we are standing in front of the Eiffel Tower. So, and when we get home, that is what we remember.
Yeah. I hardly even cared about it that time, but
Yeah, that's what
when you
we
get,
talk
that's
about.
all we talk about.
Yeah. If they ask about the Eiffel Tower, that's what we tell them about. And generally, it's nice to know how tall it is. Nobody is.
A lot of the college students today, I mean, they really just don't travel all that much. They don't even get out of their own state many times. So I'm wondering, are there any overlooked U.S. destinations that you think students should fall in love with?
Hey, you're coming to our next book. Writing a second book called Have a Love Affair with the USA.
Yes,
There
where
you
we
go.
actually talk about this because there are some, we think about our huge amusement parks and so on, and those are wonderful. I'm not downplaying that, but there are so many places in the United States, right here in our backwoods of Florida. I know people want to go to the beach. I get it. When I was in college, we did that too as well. But there's so many places and so many places that you can go for free. So we're talking about springs,
So
caverns, incredible caverns just all around the state of Florida. Of course, there's so many different places like the Smoky Mountains. So, why? I have a great idea. Why would you go to Venice when you can go to see the canals in San Antonio, which to me are even more exciting? Why would you want to go to the Alps when you can go to the Rocky Mountains that are just so much more beautiful? So there's so many places here in the United States that you can go. There are a lot of national parks that are that are economical, that you can stay for free. So there's just a lot of places, and all you have to do is, the wonderful thing about technology now is you can just Google it. You can get so much information about right here in the United States and traveling.
I think this next year is going to be a real year in which they're going to emphasize the USA a whole lot in traveling the USA. I'm already seeing different types of articles that are coming up saying, here is a roadmap. You know what? There is a road called 441. If you start here, you can go all the way up through to Gatlinburg or across the mountains and Smoky Mountains. So there's a lot of people are now interested in, and I think we're going to see more of that. And
Right. Well,
why
the,
not?
the reason is because the United States is turning 250 years old this coming year, this coming 4th of July, or this next 4th of July coming. United States will be 250 years old. So you're going to start seeing a lot of discussion about what's happening right here in the United States.
And for your students, I think that when they look at any kind of podcast, they look at any kind of social media, they're going to see these places.
Mhm.
And you just have to be discerning. Some of them are better than others. For
Mhm.
example, why go to Bavaria when you can go to Helen,
That's
Georgia?
a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. You're absolutely right. I mean, the River Walk in San Antonio,
Oh,
absolutely phenomenal. It's
yes, it is.
beautiful. They have boats that'll take you through all the canals, and there's great restaurants and shops on the River Walk, which is fantastic. And the Smoky Mountains, I mean, as a Tennessean, I love that answer because it really is. It's stunning. I mean, it really, really is. And so I agree with you. I mean, listen, I'm jealous of the people who live in places like Europe where you can take a train and go from one phenomenal country to the next very easily.
Mhm.
But the United States has a lot of variety when you think about the differences in climate in Florida where you're at
Yeah.
versus Alaska. I mean, these are two polar opposites, and it's all in the same country. So I think we have a lot more variety than the usual country might in terms of temperature and geography and things like that. So we are in a unique place, and I can't wait for your next book. I think the book is going to be phenomenal, falling in love with the US.
Yes.
Very nice. So what's next for both of you? Or do you have any upcoming trips or any other new projects other than the new book on the US?
We are going to in November. We're actually going back to Thailand and Singapore. When we were in Singapore, Singapore was small. It certainly is not what it is now. Now it is just extremely dynamic. And so we're looking forward to going back there and also Bali.
Mm.
Plus Dubai. I
Ooh,
cannot wait to go to Dubai.
yeah.
So
Well, those
that's
are
our
some
next project.
phenomenal places to go. And
We
the
will
food in
not.
Thailand, you can sign me up for the food right now.
Definitely, yes.
Hey, we have in our book one of these crazy guys.
Not crazy.
One of her friends' friends that went to Dubai, and they went
Skiing
skiing.
Oh
in
yeah.
Dubai. Now, how do you go skiing in Dubai? They have
It's
a mall.
indoors.
Yes, they have a mall that has like a lift, and you can go up and then you ski down. So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he tells the whole story about that. So
Oh yeah,
it's
Dubai, you can find the most interesting things. I mean, there's obviously a lot of money in Dubai, so they can do
yes,
things that
they
many
can do
countries can't do because
exactly.
they have crazy amounts of money. But yeah, I did see that indoor skiing facility in Dubai, and I just looked and I said, man, anything is possible. We can now go skiing in the desert. Unbelievable.
Exactly. That's a
That's
good
a
one.
lot of
Skiing in
fun.
the desert. That's good. That we should have called that.
So, how do you think travel can shape us into better global citizens and even more compassionate humans?
You know,
Yes.
if you go to any other country, whether it's Europe, especially in Asia, even Africa, we've been to both North Africa and South Africa. What we're missing is that middle part of Africa, which we'd like to somehow figure out how to get to. But you cannot go to these places without being changed.
Yeah. Hmm.
You're going to be changed in some way, and it will make you realize that people all over the world have the same desires that we have.
Hmm.
They need just it's what is it? Maslow's basic needs.
Hmm.
Being a psychologist, it we have all the same thing. We need shelter. We need to feel secure. We need food. They all have the same thing.
Right.
They just do it in a different cultural way.
Cultures may have different cultures, different skin color. It does not matter. When you travel, you'll actually see that you have more that's alike than difference. So and that's what's so interesting about travel. And when you travel, you actually can make friends all over the world. And then get to and the beauty of social media that you can stay connected with them. So that's what I love, and that's why I love traveling.
And she keeps up with all of our um,
All of our
well,
friends,
all of
guides.
all
Yeah.
our guides to
Yeah.
India, to
Hmm.
Vietnam, and
Hmm.
all of this. But if you've got a minute, I could tell you just a little neat story that we had just about 2 weeks ago. We were speaking on a Carnival
Cruise line.
cruise
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, sure.
And they were having an excursion. We went to an excursion to the Dominican Republic. And of course, if you look on the website, it will say don't go there. It's
Yeah.
very, but this guide, we went to the rural area of the Dominican and went into a house that a lady had invited us to come into her home. So we went in to this home. It was meager. It was humble, very clean. She showed us how she was cooking on some kind of a fire that they had there. But one of the most interesting things was the walls you could see through. It
Yeah.
was just made of boards of slabs, and you could see through the outside of the wall. But what was most interesting was they had some little doggies, and Natalie is crazy about dogs. So this one little dog comes up to her, just a little tiny
Yeah.
dog, and I am able to say in my terrible Spanish, ¿Cómo se llama el perro? And she understood me and was so pleased that we would try to speak her language. And
Yeah.
she answered
And it's
kind.
so nice that the fact that, did we have a lot in common? No, we really didn't have a lot in common when it comes to living, living quarters and probably money and so on. But you know what? Travel allows you to understand humanity and to really gain that empathy towards humans and to really understand and appreciate different areas. You know what? She may not be rich, she may not have a lot of money, but she was probably richer when it comes to happiness than most people. And
Mm.
so I think that's what we as an Americans need to remember, that just because we're fortunate to live in this country and we're fortunate to go to college, to have the funds that we have. But you know what? Everywhere in the world, there's different people with different, possibilities and happiness. And I think that's something we need to understand. We should actually understand it a lot better.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think travel does definitely teach you a thing or two about empathy and appreciating what you do have instead of always thinking about what you don't have, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I think there are some very, very good lessons for college students to learn along that path. Listen, I love everything you guys are doing, and our listeners, if they want to get a copy of your book, it's called Have a Love Affair with Travel. Where should they go, and how can they follow your adventures?
You can go to Amazon. Just go on Amazon and type in "Have a Love Affair with Travel" or "Unfair with Travel." Maybe there'll be some other books coming up that aren't ours.
There is one.
But it's "Have a Love
It's in
Affair."
China.
That have a love affair with travel, and that will pop up. We have, of course, a website, and it's www.travelersatheart.com. So we are travelers at heart, and it's not a symbol at, okay? It's you spell at. So it's travelersatheart.com. You can also follow me on Natalie Kelly, Travelers at Heart on Instagram.
Fantastic. Travelersatheart.com. The name of the book is Have a Love Affair with Travel. Go and pick that up on Amazon today. And thank you, Dr. Evelyn
Oh,
Kelly and Natalie Kelly. I thank you
Thank
so much for sharing all of this.
Thank
oh,
you
it's
very much.
been so much fun. I do hope that your listeners are are taking this travel to heart. We expect to see them traveling throughout the U.S. They can even come to Florida.
Yes, go and support your local United States of America. Come check out Florida. I was just in Fort Lauderdale and I had the time of my life.
Wonderful.
Oh yeah, so I had a really, really good time. So I'm there quite often. But I appreciate you sharing all this. I think there's some wonderful lessons to be learned. So thank you so much to Dr. Evelyn Kelly and Natalie Kelly. And to our audience, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, I want you to like it and I want you to share it with other college students that also need to start traveling. Thanks so
Yeah.
much for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.